Hello golfers, today I'm going to be talking about a topic that has become a really hot topic in golf, and that's called shallowing the angle of the shaft, shallowing the club in the downswing. So first I'll explain what that means and then I'll explain why that matters. What it means is from the top of your backswing, you have to find a way to shallow the club shaft so that the shaft is behind the path that the hands are taking on the downswing, or to put it really simply, the shaft is behind where the hands are at that moment instead of being in front. Now, while we golfers have traditionally called a shaft in front of the hands over the top move, research has now termed it shallowing the shaft path compared to the hand path. And this has caused a lot of confusion in the golf industry. Let me give you some examples of what the leading instructors are saying is the best way to shallow the shaft. One instructor says it's very simple. Simply from the start of the downswing, bow your hands so that you can see how the shaft shallows. And conversely, another golf instructor is saying lay the club down or pitch the club rather than yaw the club. This is yawing and this is pitching. And so they're saying to pitch the club. Now, another couple of groups of people are saying from the top of your backswing, if you shift pressure forward, rotate and allow your arms to drop, you will shallow the shaft. One recently famous golf instructor says go from internal at the top of your backswing to external by the process of centering your pressure and rotating. And one golf instructor in fact says it's a very tough movement to make, and the way to practice is to separate your grip and then practice in the downswing along with other things, rotating your shoulder and elbow. Now, to my mind, this is completely much ado about nothing. There's a very, very simple way to figure out how to shallow the shaft in the downswing. Here's what I mean. If we go to the top of the backswing, a typical traditional backswing, we just have to figure out the smallest movement that can cause the shallowing, and that is simply from here to here. All I've done is I've moved my trail shoulder into external rotation and my lead shoulder into internal rotation. And that's all that's really required. So what all the golf instructors are saying is the same thing, but because the typical golf swing is so complex, you really do need to make a lot of torso, shoulder, hand, wrist adjustments to get that shallowing. Now here's my question for you. What if I start my backswing with my trail forearm always lower than my lead forearm and keep it that way from address to the top of the backswing? I will always be shallow. Then it's much easier from this position to start the rotation because the brain is not confused between should I drop first or should I rotate first. There's no need to drop because this side is already lower, and all you do is rotate through and see how my shaft shallows. Boom. So the secret is not to do anything in the downswing because there's just no time. Simply get into the right position at the top without having to think about this at all, by having the trail arm always lower than the lead arm and therefore always in more external rotation, so that it doesn't need to go from internal to external and do any of these strange things. It just is there already. And keep the pressure on the hands light, you're good to go.